crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. Every day on the channel, we teach you how to make money with digital assets. Thank you for joining. Our main story today is going to be the dump that is happening, but can we bounce from here? Is there signs of life? And I got major news for the XRP holders. So smash that like, everybody. We're going to have a very good Friday stream. We had a little bit of internet issues, but now I think we're good, folks. So let me know if you see any choppiness or anything. We'll go ahead and handle those issues momentarily. So let's just get right into what we're seeing on the Bitcoin charts. And I need to add to the stage. Boy, oh boy. Act like you know how to do this stream before. But like I said, we had tons of internet issues. I don't know. We couldn't even check if the internet was down in certain areas. And bam, there we go. Bitcoin on the 5-minute chart. You see, we took a pretty significant dump. This dump started right at midnight. After midnight. No, look in here. So, okay, so that's the noon. And then we just dumped. And then we had another fresh little pullback here. This is midnight right there. And you can see, boom, markets just said, we're going to start this day with a lot of red candles. We're going to freak people out. And we have been making some lower lows. So you need to watch out and see if there's going to be some more liquidity grabs if you're trying to long the market right now. We do have a little bit of a baby long in ETH. I was hoping for some other levels to get breached. Did not get breached, but we are up pretty significantly on that trade, although it's just a small amount. But let's look at crypto markets here. What the heck is going on? Because we're seeing some deep red candles. Bitcoin is now down 2%. But it looks like maybe we're getting a little bit of recovery, a little bit of a bounce. ETH is down 3.4%. I'm seeing a lot of support around these zones. That's why we're going long on it. And then we have Solana down 4.2% and Cardano down 3.4%. But Tron holding flat, holding steady. And Sui is not feeling sweet. That thing is down 5.6%. But Toncoin is up. And God, chat, you remember yesterday I was saying I filmed this Toncoin video and we keep seeing green candles. So I warned you that the video is filmed. I had to refilm it. I mislabeled a wallet. I don't want to lead anyone into the wrong crypto wallet there. So I tried to warn you, folks. I tried to warn you there. We got a $2 super chat. Let's get started with the super chat. Love you. I love everybody. Get a little kiss to the disco fam there. When is the Woodstock move? We're going to be moving there in probably a couple months. The guys came to check out this building. They kicked the tires. They like what they saw with the building, and it looks like they're going to be moving into this thing fairly soon. This is the first time here, and I love it from the basement. This is a perfect anchor show. Thank you, Matthew, for emerging from the depths. You emerged from the murky swamp that is the basement, and now you're here, and we're all just going to have a good time looking at the big gainers, and it is Toncoin and stable coins. When you see stable coins on the top of the list, typically, that is not a good day. That's not what you want to see. So let's just go straight to the big losers. Losers are going to be, Hype is way down. Hype is down 10% today. SPX 6900, great month. Had some very good green candles, but now it is down 8.7%. Curve is also peeling back a lot of the monthly gains here, and Pengu peeling off a lot of the monthly gains. One of the things I'm seeing with the significant declines is just people taking some profit, probably rolling it into stable coins, rolling it into Bitcoin, and there's nothing wrong with taking profits. You don't go broke taking profits. Serious question here. Is Cardano done? Well, you did do the $2 super chat, so I will show you what I'm looking at here. So I did create a post. There's Ollie, and Ollie did some charts, and Ollie charts is great chart analysis. Very good levels, very good macro thesis here. And our internet is just giving me some issues. So I might have to just go and see if I can get it on Trading View, Cardano. So we're trying to look here. Like I said, all types of chicanery going on with the charts here. All right, so there we go. We're gonna go to the weekly. Hopefully this can load in a fair amount of time. If not, we might bounce back to this Cardano question. So let's go ahead and do that. Right now, Bitcoin, though, is the star of the show. And a lot of people talking about the CME gap, how the CME gap was closed overnight. That's not exactly what I see. There are traders who have orders in this low level. I've heard different takes. I've heard, well, it needs to clear completely. It just needs to clear partially. It needs to clear at least 50%. In my opinion, I feel a little bit more comfortable when the CME gap closes completely. And when we went to the Bitcoin chart, you saw those lower lows. So maybe we're trying to get down to the bottom of this range. I'm going to continue to monitor this. Looking at Cardano on the weekly, is Cardano done? All these charts happen to point something out. We are looking at a current range, which is very similar to the range right here. Now, he had a couple extra lines. Basically, he was looking at 3 levels on these moves and how that's looking very similar to what we're seeing here. We got 3 levels on these moves. But then it seems like we are testing the 3rd level, and then we're going to get a mega rally is what he's predicting. Right now, we're testing the 3rd level. This pumped 3,000%. I don't think Cardano has a snowball's chance in hell of pumping 1,500% from here, but I think it could do a 15, 16x from these bottom levels. That's $25. Now you're looking at a $4 Cardano, $4 ADA, potentially $5 ADA. So I don't think ADA is done. Once you zoom out, you can kind of see it just creates a nice bullish catalyst, and then it creates a higher low. Nice bullish catalyst creates a higher low. Probably going to do that for a while, and we do have some pretty good targets with this trend line. So I would say no, but I did sell some ADA last night. If you want to see what I sold ADA for, you got to go into our videos. U.S. government chooses altcoin winners. 3 coins I think is going to be big beneficiaries of the crypto report. But I have a 4th coin for the members that we're going to get into after this stream. Every Friday, we do a DZ deep dive where we have a DZ stream in the Discord. We all have a good time doing that. Let's get back into the CME gap here. Major news with the CME gap. Did it fill? Did it not fill? What's going to happen to a crypto? What's going to happen to Bitcoin? Well, we are seeing some weakness, and now we have some scary targets. Scary 104 Bitcoin is scary, right? So trading view showing it fell to 114. Looked like it went a little bit lower. In doing so, the pair entirely, quote unquote, filled the gap in CME Group's Bitcoin futures market. We've covered what the CME Group is, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. When traders close a position Friday at the end of the banking week, and the price is different on the Monday when business hours open again, a lot of times it will bridge that gap. That's the CME gap. Now, as Cointelegraph continues to report, prices tend to fill these gaps, which often appear on the weekends within weeks, days, or even hours of the market reopening. So we should see nice upward movement from now, says Ted Pillows. Now, if everybody starts predicting upward movement, what is Bitcoin going to do? It's going to crash. It's going to crash because traders are going to get too greedy, and they're going to get greedy with leverage. And then the leverage is going to need to be wiped out. That's why we talk about that windshield wiper method. XRP is going to 0. XRP holders, I got some major bullish news for you that came from Coinbase. And Coinbase is probably the most powerful crypto company within the US. And so this is going to have significant impact for XRP holders. And it's bullish. It's bullish. I know a lot of people like to say this channel is bearish on XRP, but I got some bullish news for you, XRP holders. Now, someone else is saying, Ted, a trader, Crypto Candy, I don't know about that name, said the price sounds a little sweet to DZ. Said the price needed Friday's daily close to be above the 115, 116 area. And if it fails to sustain, we're looking at 111 before the next leg up to a new all-time high. And 111 is just going to be some of the tops that we saw in May. Let's see here. Now, this internet issue, I don't want to waste your time trying to load these charts here, so I might jump back in. That's how we're going to do Trade and View today. We're going to revisit it in 30 seconds. Now, Bitcoin, shrugging off some of the jobs report data. So let's get into the jobs report data. So this is one of the major reasons we're seeing a lot of volatility right now. Major revisions to the job report. XCN Cult got me drinking the Kool-Aid. Thoughts? Cross-chain networks. Let's see here. XCN got you drinking Kool-Aid. Well, hopefully it's not like Jonestown Kool-Aid. We don't want Jonestown. Let's see. Onyx coin. I like Onyx the stone. And we're having similar issues to what we saw before. So we're going to revisit that in a little bit. Now, looking at Bitcoin, I'm going to tell you the significance of these green lines, how they're major levels to pay attention to. But just zooming in a little bit here, just so we can see the 111 range and why it's important. Get away from the weekly charts. And we'll revisit that in 30 seconds, folks. Let's get back to the jobs report here. So the U.S. added 73,000 jobs in July. Okay. but we estimated 110. That's not that good. And then we had great jobs reports in June and May, but they were revised sharply lower. This is likely to fuel cause for a Fed rate cut as soon as September. It will shock you when you see what happened in a mere 1 hour with the September rate cut predictions. We're going to look at Polymarket after this article here. And I thought that was Hank from Breaking Bad, but I don't think it was Hank from Breaking Bad. That was the part where he was on the toilet. Taken together, the job growth for the May-July period averaged only 35,000 per month. And so once you average what we got per month, we're only adding 1,000 jobs per day. Pretty small when you consider there's 330 million Americans. Now, this is the weakest pace of hiring since the beginning of the COVID pandemic in 2020. Also not a good job market when you're thinking about it. Now, the reactions in bonds and dollars, far stronger. 10-year yield fell, and the value of the dollar also fell compared to the euro and the yen. And so the 10-year yield points, kind of almost a canary in the coal mine for Fed rate cuts. This is predicting essentially Fed rate cuts. Kobayashi is saying this is insane. We've received massive downward revisions. Like I said, it was down by 125,000. So May went from 144 to 19. June went from 147 to 14. Huge declines. 250,000 jobs that just vanished from the data in 2 months. What the heck is happening here? And if you go to the Fed rates, when I go to look at the spike, you can kind of see the spike at the end. Look at the vertical lines on the right side here. Let's go to the 1 day. Pow, look at that. This is the Fed rate cuts. When the Fed starts cutting rates, it's going to be good for riskier investments. Risk on environment. That's what they call it. A risky investment is going to be something like your altcoin portfolio that you're probably too overexposed, that you don't have enough Bitcoin in that portfolio. You know that. You know, I know it. We all know it. We're probably all guilty. But here we went from 60% odds. We're not going to get any kind of Fed rate cut in September. In about an hour, fell to 19%. So we're seeing a massive shift in the predictions for the Fed rate cut in September. We are now up to 79% decrease. It was 80% when I looked an hour ago. So I guess, maybe the markets are like, all right, Jerome Powell might not do it. We don't know. Right now we have roughly a 1 in 5 between a 1 in 4 shot of no change, but looking pretty good that we're going to see a decrease. I don't think we get 50 unless, we get a lot more negative data, but the 25 basis point decrease is looking more and more likely, folks. So someone's saying we might get a surprise cut. Now that would be very, very interesting. And that would be probably immediate red hourly candles for ETH because everybody's going to long. And then once those longs get liquidated, that's when you're going to see an altcoin explosion. Some saying it's job manipulation. I find it interesting that they have 2 months of data dropped in 1 day. So that suggests to me that they're sitting on this data and maybe they're trying to, create the maximum pressure for Jerome Powell to cut rates in September. That would be my prediction there. We have Walter White. Walt Whitman. Yeah, he's referencing the initials that were inside the book when he was sitting on the toilet there. Don't buy nothing today. I don't hate that advice, although I did buy an altcoin yesterday, but I traded an altcoin for an altcoin. So then we end up, maybe a little bit in the even there. All right, let's get into the next phase here. That's going to be the Bollinger Bands. But first, let me check this. All right, so 111, since we have to come back to TradingView. Yeah, essentially, this is going to be a pretty important zone. All right, that looks like to me, people are just kind of drawing out a little trend line potentially here. All right, that would be my prediction for a nice little bounce. That looks pretty clean. Maybe I can make it a little bit more clear there. I guess more bearish as we even that out. So maybe, just maybe, we bounce from 113,800 or the low 114. So that could be a potential bullish catalyst right there. So keep an eye out on that level. It bounces from there. I'm going to say exactly as predicted. If it doesn't, I said maybe. I'm just going to say I said maybe. All right, let's talk about the Bollinger Bands. Big shout out to Scott Melker. Been on the show, friend of the channel. Cool guy. Taller than you would think. Hey, Bollinger Bands. He tagged him out. This is John Bollinger, the guy who created Bollinger Bands. Hopefully I'm not explaining it too much because we have talked about it. But basically, when the Bollinger Bands squeeze, when they get tight, it's like a spring. When you squeeze that spring, it's more likely going to shoot out and hit somebody in the eye. But is it going to hit a bear in the eye? Is it going to hit a bull in the eye? I'm hoping for the bullseye, right? So how often have we seen the Bollinger Bands this tight on the daily? Let's go into the charts. What do we say on Discover Crypto? We don't trust, we verify. So Grok. So we're gonna trust Grok to answer correctly. Then we're gonna verify Bitcoin. So Grok, when have we seen Bollinger Bands this tight? Because it's very rare we've seen Bollinger Bands this tight. So we're going back. Remember those green vertical lines? We're about to go check that out. So the daily Bollinger Bands are, at this bandwidth is tightest since February 25. So how often have we seen this? We've seen it only 5 times. So we're going to go back linearly here. February 25, August 23, January 23, September 16, and January 13. Often precedes major moves like 46Xs, 47Xs. Let's look here. All right. So we got it on the 3-day chart. I'm going to stretch it out a little so you can kind of see the Bollinger. You can see the tightness in the market. So right now, this tightness in the market, these are 3-day candles. I haven't seen it, very rare. Last 2 times, it was bearish, folks. This Bollinger Band, you can see how tight those daily candles are, the 3-day candles. We got a pretty significant move to the downside. Looks like it fell about 20% very quickly. Honestly, it fell 20% in 6 days. That is pretty bearish, and I got a lot of people off guard, and it wrecked a lot of people trying to leverage trade. Eventually, we would fall, 23% over 45 days. Then we had a nice little bounce. Let's go back to the next one. Was that 23, right? September 23. It's the tail end of August, so it should be right there. Look how tight that Bollinger Band is. What did we do? We fell. What did we get? We fell again. This time it wasn't as bad. I think we fell 23% in 6 days. This time we fell 13% in 3 days, 14% in 6 days. And then yet again, kind of range. And then we eked out a little bit lower because everybody's getting a little bit too bullish. And then once those trades got liquidated, that's when we turned bullish. Now, the next one was right here. Now we start looking bullish, folks. This is when it starts looking good. This was a nice move to the upside. Bitcoin would pump 50%. Love seeing that. Then I think we got to go to 2016, correct? All right. Whoa. We're all over the place here. Let's just do it that way. All right. So boom, we're going to the green line. Give me the green line. There we go. Now we're in September 16. Similar. We had a nice little pump. Bollinger Bands are tight. Bollinger Bands are coiled. What did we end up moving? End up having a nice little 2-month pump of 30%. But in 6 days, we pumped 10%. Really, you could say in 3 days if you caught that opening candle. So it's still going to be 6 days. Pump 10%. And then we just got one more, and that's 2013. It's the last one here. And it doesn't, TradingView says, slow down, DZ. You're sliding too fast. And basically, folks, that one was the most bullish one, which is why I really, really want to show you. This is the one that ended. This was the one that ended them all. January. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? Are you ready to feel hot and bothered? Look at that. So you saw, you already front ran it. Bollinger Band's tight as hell. Obviously, we're not going to pump like this. Let's just measure it. This is January 2013. Oh, man. Imagine jumping in right there. People tell me about it. I'm like, no, buy silver. 20X. So a very, very significant pump there. I'm sorry. Yeah, 20X. Very, very good pump. All right, let's get into some more Bitcoin news, and we're going to talk about some altcoins. Let me read the chat a little bit. Our limit orders, price rules on exchanges that say limit order has to close to the market value. Only do this because I'm Puerto Rican, or is that for all races and cultures? What? Close to market because this is no. So maybe Puerto Rico has laws that market makers. So yeah, maybe, but you might see similar things in other jurisdictions. And honestly, market ordering will give you fees. Limit ordering is the better way. Why aren't y'all streaming together? So Josh is focusing a little bit more heavily on his afternoon stream, and that way he gets to basically create more of a show. He's not coming in here a little bit late. And that way we don't talk over each other here. I'm here, just can't be on the internet, the stream. All right, man. So we're here, but I'm sucking all the juice here. Any Ondo price predictions? $10. All right. Video never loaded. Still waiting for the show. Now well, you know what, Father? father of mine. You're here now, and better late than never. So I appreciate you joining. And everybody joining in, go ahead and smash that like for Crypto Crow. I got the alpha. I'm going to talk to Crypto Crow in 1 hour, and we're going to go over 8 reasons why you should not ignore midnight, potentially the biggest airdrop in history. Crypto Crow's done a lot of research on this. I highly recommend go follow his channel and go follow his shadow if you're sunburnt, because he is 8 feet tall and you don't got. So if you're a ginger, you see him in the, Miami sun, go ahead, just stand behind him. You're going to be protected. All right. Winston Smith, get it? On average, how long would it take to stack one full Bitcoin by DCAing if you started today? Using power law modeling, we could see right now, this is the last year where you can get a 1 Bitcoin stack in 10 years if you DCA $250 a week starting now. Starting in 2026, so if you wait a year, it's not going to take you 10 years. It's then going to take you 15 years. Now in 2020, if you just did $100 a week, you had a Bitcoin in 3 years. And so by the time Bitcoin hits 1 million, as it's projected to in 2033, fair number, if you ask me, it's not too moonshotty. It will be virtually impossible to stack 1 Bitcoin via DCA with less than $1,000 a week, $4,000 a month, unless you're planning to do it for 30 plus years. So stack early, stack hard. This is a moving train. So eat that ramen, get that cheap gas, go to that crappy gas station. It's probably putting water in your gas tank, but that's the next guy's problem. Save that money, buy more Bitcoin, and smash that like button. That's all we're asking. Becoming a whole coiner will soon shift from remotely achievable to the stuff of freaking legends, not financial advice. So just a cool little graphic here, kind of outlining the amount of times and the dollars per week. And so, if best time is now, better time was yesterday, worst time is going to be tomorrow. But folks, it's over, right? Bitcoin pulled back 3% after going up 600% in 2 years. The bears are right. It has failed as a hedge and a store of value. I throw this cheeky response just to say, let's all take a breath. I know we're seeing some red candles. I know it looks a little scary right now. Looking at Bitcoin, let's just say on the 5 minute, we're going to come back in 10 minutes. Just zoom out, folks, especially we just closed a monthly candle. We closed the highest monthly candle in history. Now is not the time to get spooked. If Bitcoin crashes, guess what? You should have some dry powder on the sidelines. I still got dry powder on the sidelines from our 80K dip. I didn't fully deploy. And so if we dip again, you know what? I might jump back in. Now, we did have some major news yesterday with Paul Atkins and America First. Let me just check on this. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. That was you, Disco fam. That was you smashing the like button, giving us that support we needed. Every time you hit the like, Bitcoin goes up $1. It's like Tinkerbell, all right? You got to clap to make it live. You got to hit that like button to make Bitcoin feel something. Right now, though, hold on. Kind of failing to create some higher highs. We're getting definite weakness on the RSI and the small time frames here. We go to the 5 minute. I'll come back in 5 minutes. I'll check in 5 minutes on this 5 minute RSI. Yeah, super slow internet. So we're just going to move forward here. All right. So Paul Atkins, SEC chair. He's the 34th chairman of the SEC. He's very, very pro crypto. He just did his first crypto act not that long ago, rolling back some of the rules. This man loves crypto. He loves your altcoins. And he's thinking America First policy. They're not really America First. They're who you think they're first. That is their, their main concern. Just look what they're doing on the Syrian border. But thank you, A1 Policy here, for hosting me today to discuss Project Crypto. So Project Crypto is going to be the SEC's guiding principles in aiding the Trump administration in his efforts to make America the crypto capital of the world. There's a whole little spiel here. We're not going to get into it. He's like, first and thusly and second and third. Did he go? Okay, third right there. I was about to say, did he go from second to fourth? I'm about to deezy him here, but no. So good news. Great for altcoins. Great for crypto. And probably one of the major reasons we're dumping so hard today is just the insane bullish narratives that we're getting. Too many people are going to go long. Too many people are going to be too bullish on Bitcoin, and this is going to create some dumps. Cointelegraph's assessment here. Paul Atkins unveils Project Crypto. Commission-wide push to modernize crypto rules, securities rules, and move U.S. financial markets on chain. Securities are going to be everything that's not a commodity, essentially, and Bitcoin and Ether have been established as commodities. Probably going to see a handful of other cryptos. If Bitcoin's a commodity, Litecoin probably should be a commodity. Cardano should probably be a commodity. And I hate to say it, Dogecoin could probably be a commodity. You could definitely make an argument for Dogecoin there. All right, who saw the correction coming? Well, if you knew it was coming, I hope you full ported your entire portfolio. I want you to sell your house and go 40x leverage. If not, we're making educated guesses here. We have fallen down. He is the Giga Chad whale. Are you the model? Are you that Giga Chad model that's always in the black and white photos? If so, I want to hang out with you. You seem cool. Chainlink 5x. All right, Momo 100x possible. Everything's possible, right? Chainlink 5x. I like it. It's trading $16 when I looked this morning. 5x is going to be an $80 Chainlink. Yeah, I like an $80 Chainlink here. H-bar Dano. You're right. I'm not going to get into what he said, though. All right, let's look at Michael Saylor. Then we're going to talk about XRP. We're going to talk about Cardano. Don't worry, I got some altcoin alpha for you folks. Michael Saylor said live on CNBC that Strategy could buy as much as 1.5 million Bitcoin. That's 7% of the entire supply. We're going parabolic. So now he is upping. Remember, it started 1%. Then I think he just jumped to 3%. Now he's saying 7%. What's next? 10%? Is this man trying to own 2 million coins? That's a lot of Bitcoin. And essentially, there's going to be a lot of buying pressure. Part of the reason he has this buying pressure is his thesis here. He averaged out the firms, Barclays, Bernstein, et cetera, here, and gave the average of their Bitcoin into your price targets. I hate the 116 from Barclays. Get out of here. But the average Bitcoin price analysis from these very large institutions, $168,000 Bitcoin. And I was just chuckling at this guy right here. I takes 11 BD, but I predict 169. Yeah, that's a lot cooler number. What do you think Bitcoin's going to be heading? I'll read some of your chat here. I do have my target. I think I've been saying 170, 140 to 170. I'm leaning a little bit closer to 170 versus 140 now. We have been conditioned that the tops are just going to keep diminishing and diminishing and diminishing. So when I say tops, I mean from cycle top to cycle top to cycle top. We go from 1,000 to 20,000. All right, that's a 20x. We go from 20,000 to 70,000. That's a 3.5x. Now we're going to go from 70,000 to what exactly? If it was a 3.5x, you're looking at $245,000 Bitcoin. Don't call me the math whiz for nothing. All right, let's see here. My in-laws told me I made a bad investment when Bitcoin was $7,000. I don't know why I can't show it there. Probably internet issues. Someone's saying, smash the like for the DC fam here. Crypto Crank, thank you for the $2 super chat. When Microsoft buys Bitcoin, I short it. It's probably paying off well for you here. Literally, the guy goes off the map after a big crash like 2 years, then just pops out again. Absolute douche. Tells people to buy the top. Are you talking about Michael Saylor? Oh, yeah, because he didn't buy enough during the crash. I have thought about that. He is definitely a sentiment cheerleader. When sentiment is super low, Michael Saylor does pull that move. He does pull that move. That's a fair assessment there. Oh, looks like the CME gap is getting filled, but there's another one at 92, says this person here. And Marco, dude, the SEC narrative doesn't really matter anymore with this current administration. I would say it does matter on the second and third order effects. The second and third order effects are going to be the American crypto companies being able to operate. They do have to follow certain rules, guidelines, and guiding principles, and they can't get these bank charters without the SEC. I mean, Donald Trump can do something like, hey, I want it to happen, make it so, like Picard, but at the end of the day, you still need SEC to end up doing that. And people like the hairstyle. I normally shave Sundays and Wednesdays. Maybe I'll start looking fresh for you guys here. All right. Ooh, almost left StreamYard. I don't know if I would have been able to come back. All right, let's get into the next story here. Strategy CEO calls it the most misunderstood stock amid record profit. Here we're looking not at MicroStrategy CEO, now Strategy. Their CEO is Phong Le. Phong Le called them the most misunderstood and undervalued stock in the market. Now, Strategy announced plans to raise $4.2 billion worth of shares through that, remember that $100 stable coin thing that we're talking about? Part of its long-term goal to buy $84 billion worth under its upgraded 42-42 plan. It's going to be 420,000 Bitcoin, spending $42 billion there, 84 total. Now, strategies, I was wondering, how much money are they actually making? Because he's given a lot of fugazi math on like, oh, our operating income rose. You mean you bought Bitcoin, sat on it, and it pumped? Is that, technically with the new classification? Sure, it's operating income. I like to see, what you're actually doing on the market, though. So they do have a software arm. They have business intelligence products, basically mostly focused on Bitcoin and subscription services. They brought in $114 million in revenue for the quarter. So they do make some money. It's not just selling debt and selling stable coins, essentially. They do have an actual company behind them, but maybe it's a smaller company. And there's another company. Now you have MetaPlanet. Normally, I don't like to bring up like another treasury company, but $3.7 billion is very, very significant. And they now want to try to own 210,000 Bitcoin. And of course, smart people in the chat here know 1% of all Bitcoin. It's going to be 21 million. So 2.1 million is 10%, 210,000. 1% of all the Bitcoin. Huge, huge, huge amounts and massive accumulation here. We got people, ADA price prediction. What are you guys coordinating there? You had them right next to each other. People talking about MOG. I would make an outstanding Star Trek #2. I would just be spending time in the Holodome, going back in time to buy Bitcoin. I would just be screaming. I would be like, holodeck. Put me when I was convincing my buddy buying silver is better than Bitcoin. And I would go into that holodeck and I would just shake my shoulders and I would just go crazy. And I would say, you idiot. Sorry for losing my cool there. That's what I would do, though. Oh, I'm sorry, he would say. All right, let's see. What else do we got? So MetaPlanet going nuts. I need to take a little sip. Let's take a little sip of water, everybody. Take a sip of water. Take a sip of that hot bean juice. Take a sip of, 151, whatever you got, folks. 3, 2, 1, let's go. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Love it, love it, love it. Now, what are we seeing in the markets right now? I had that little comment there. I just came to that. There are other crypto channels, but this is the best crypto channel. We are putting out the best alpha. We put out the best entertainment mixed with educational content, and we're making content 7 days a week. Last night's video performed very, very well. And trust me when I say those 3 altcoins are going to go nuts. But in the member stream, we're going to talk about the 4th one, folks. Yeah, just imagine someone just coming into that like, is this guy talking about Bitcoin or what? Yeah, I'm talking about Bitcoin. How about the OG Bitcoiners? Rotating out, but it's a healthy dynamic. A lot of people are saying this is fine. While many Bitcoin whales woke up in the last month, analysts say it's a sign of a maturing market and doesn't hurt the value of Bitcoin. Well, that's just obvious hogwash. Someone's selling 80,000 Bitcoin. It's going to hurt the value of Bitcoin, but I guess they're saying in the long term, this is a robust, healthy distribution of accumulation. So in an X post, let's see, Swan Bitcoin said the largest rotation in history is almost complete as the old guard are being replaced by new titans with conviction, such as corporations and treasury firms, aka BlackRock, and some of the companies trying to add it to their balance sheet. And Santiment said that wallets with between 10 and 10,000 Bitcoin bought up another 200,000 coins since late March, adding 1% of all coins to their wallets during this time frame. So, 210 is going to be 1%. So good news there. Let's talk about Base, though. Base had really, really good earnings. Yeah, Capo said, open some shorts. He's like, my shorts are now in profit. We're going to go much lower. Someone said, oh, well, that definitely means we're gonna start pumping. Do you really think $10 is achievable for Ondo this cycle? Yeah, that's in a very, very short window, like in a parabolic top. I'm glad you guys laughed so hard because I'm breathing so hard from that. Let's see here. Layer 0 works with Wyoming too. So Layer 0 is mentioned in last night's video. If you haven't go watch that, go check it out. Can you look at Nexus Supercomputer? I don't like the name. It's too vague. And let's see, pumpy. It's too pumpy. Sipping on G and J. Nothing wrong with that. There's a hidden Star Fox boss in Ocarina of Time. I did not know that, but every time someone brings up Star Fox, I think of Slippy. Star Fox, get this guy off me. It's like said in the first 20 seconds of the first level. And back in the old school days, when you die, you have to like start a game over. There's no like load screen. There's no like save checkpoint. And you would hear that so much. Star Fox, get this guy off me. Now smash that like button for the nostalgia right there. Now let's talk about Coinbase. So Brian Armstrong, a quick overview of their Q2 financial results. Pretty bullish, folks. Pretty bullish. We're seeing a lot of revenue. We're seeing base chain still the number one L2. Very, very good finality time there. Just basically just very, very robust across the board here. And looking at what their the main takeaway to me is they're increasing their Bitcoin holdings, and they increase it in a significant way. Now, these people could have got 11,000 Bitcoin for a pile of Cheetos and some couch change because they've been selling Bitcoin so long. They're selling Bitcoin $100 and less. They're just now starting to accumulate in a serious manner. Why they didn't do it in 2020, why they don't do it during the bear markets, I think Brian Armstrong was scared to go to jail at the end of the day. And I think that's a fine motivation. We can't expect everybody to act like CZ, walk out holding the 4. You got a neck tattoo, a little more swole because you've been doing push-ups. You've been putting SBF in a headlock. You're rubbing elbows with P. Diddy. We can't expect all the founders to feel that way. So Brian Armstrong's motivation to not go to jail seems fine. Also, I don't think BlackRock and the big legacy institutions would be so keen to have Coinbase hold their Bitcoin. The institutional Bitcoin, it might be on this graphic, 70%. I don't think it is. 80%. Don't listen to me. 80% of US Bitcoin and ETH ETF assets custodied with Bitcoin. And so they had to follow the rules. And I think in the long run, it was best to just buy 200,000 Bitcoin when it was cheap and then just hodl it forever. But since that's gone, they can't do that anymore. The next best move is to follow the rules to the letter, to the T, crossing those T's, dotting those I's, and those J's. They always leave out the J's, damn it. Now, total cost base is $740 million. Market value is now 1.26. So they're well up. They almost doubled there. 1.48 would be a double. They're at 1.26. So now they're accumulating Bitcoin in a major way. And Coinbase is now long Bitcoin, according to Brian Armstrong. They said they're going to keep buying more. So loving what we're seeing here. So good job, Brian Armstrong. Good job, my bald brother there. But we're seeing some other walkbacks from some of these very, very powerful people there. We're going to talk about Jamie Dimon. You know who, what we like to say about that guy. He's a certain man's banker, and maybe it has to do with the diddler. I don't know, man. Maybe. Some say Clive Davis is a connecting piece in that whole situation there. Star Fox, it's quiet. Too quiet. That's a good one, too. That was a good one. That audio was... Who knows where that audio was? Yeah, that was a great slippy. Thank you very much. Star Fox, get this guy. That's it. That's all you're going to get. You got 2.5 of them. A lot of people grew up. All right, man. He did sound like Mickey Mouse. All right. ADA price prediction. Asking for my wife's boyfriend. We found Alex Becker's alt account, and that's fine. I love Nirvana. I hate that 13-year-old children wear Nirvana shirts. Just makes me feel old, and I don't like it, and I feel icky. All right, speaking of feeling icky, how about JP Morgan CEO? He is now a believer. Ooh, Jamie Dimon, you know what's about to happen. You just got DZ'd, Jamie. You just got DZ'd. So did the victims. But anyways, he is now a believer in stablecoins and blockchain. So he's now a believer as they deepen their push into digital assets. And he said, we're going to accommodate. It's what... He always has to throw the caveat on there. It's what the customer wants, not what JP Morgan wants. There's never been a new financial product that didn't entail risks. And now he's like trying to hedge his bearishness there. And this comes after years-long evolution. So we went from one of the harshest critics to a cautious supporter. In 2017, he called it a fraud. You can't have a business where people can just invent a currency out of thin air. That's what the Fed does, you idiot. He said he thought Bitcoin was, it's worse than tulip bulbs, a reference to the crash of the speculative Dutch tulip market in the 17th century, 1600s. And he stated he would fire any trader buying or selling crypto. That was also a very bearish statement. I'll fire any employee that I see buying Bitcoin. You stupid idiot. Now, the Dutch reigned supreme in the 1600s. Their currency reigned supreme, but then they were replaced. You know whom they were replaced by? The French with their baguettes. And then the French, they ended up capitulating in the 1800s. You know who then had the reserve currency? The Brits. The Brits did. But then the Brits, they fell. The sterling fell. And guess what? Then what happened? The U.S. stepped up significantly after World War II, but the Inklings were there after World War I. What's next? Bitcoin is next, everybody. So go ahead and get on this train. You might as well start DCAing now. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be a whole coiner, a 10 coiner, whatever your specific goals might be. All right. Keep trying to get my boomer dad to buy Bitcoin, hoping that I'll inherit it. Got to use that boomer money. I hate your final motivation, but I love what's happening here. It's like Mother Teresa. Is she selfish because she only wants to go to heaven? I don't care if she's cleaning lepers' feet. At the end of the day, it's a good thing there. All right, America, F yeah. Motherfucking day. All right. So when will this? All right. So reading some of these, Chase credit cards will be able to earn Bitcoin as a reward. It's the only time I'm thinking about changing. I wouldn't mind going into, debt monthly. You got to pay down that credit card debt, but having Bitcoin as a reward, very, very good stuff. You're the rock star. You're the rock star. And Rockstar, we're still waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6. Hurry the F up and put some crypto in it. You know what I'm saying? Let's see here. I'm not about a bunch of 12-year-old posers. Don't talk about XRP like that. Don't talk about XRP community, because they're now excited from Coinbase's new report. So Coinbase got a report out. XRP community loves it. What the hell do they love? Well, something surprising. So their renewed excitement following the latest earnings report, it revealed a shift in revenue rankings on the exchange. And so they sell all these coins, but with the major coins, they've actually broken down how much they make. So when you buy and sell Bitcoin, they make a little money off of you. You buy and sell X, Y, or Z, they make a little bit of money off of you. Well, despite having similar trading volume, XRP brought in more revenue than even ETH. In fact, it was number 2. It was the second position on the list of revenue generators in the second quarter. The only thing that made Coinbase more money than XRP was Bitcoin. And remember, they custody 80% of the Bitcoin for Wall Street. So do not expect to make more money than Bitcoin's making for Coinbase. But XRP community has got a little bit of glimmer of hope here. There is a world where Coinbase, they're a publicly traded company, and they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, meaning they must extract maximum profit. One of the ways they're making maximum profit is buying and selling XRP. What does that mean to an XRP holder? It means they might create bullish narratives. They might make bullish posts. They might have favorable comments when they're on a podcast. This might be a lot of buying pressure, and then it might equal a second wave of retail buyers buying XRP. Is this going to take XRP to $20 this cycle? No, but we could still see a very, very significant pump. It looks like XRP was 13% of the transaction revenue, while ETH was only 12%, despite it was 15% of the trading volume. And so they make a lot of money. They made $1.5 billion in revenue. That's just for a quarter. So you're looking at, roughly $6 billion moving this out. And transaction services line was $764 million of the $1.5 billion. So they have subscription-based models, they have custody models, but they also have trading volume revenue, and trading volume is half of their revenue. And then XRP is the number 2 thing of the thing that is half their revenue. Was it 14%? So 7%, 13%, 6.5%. That's nuts when you think about it. Now I'm kind of, doing some back of the napkin math, 764 out of 1.5 billion, but 6.5% of their revenue is people trading XRP. Think about that for a moment. 6.5% of all the money Coinbase is pulling in, XRP trading volume, according to that report, though. And they can't lie on that. If they do, they could go to jail like Bernie Madoff. All right, so read a couple more comments here. I think Solana. I didn't think Solana would go from 8 to 200 either. Yeah, man, we had a guy just screaming at us to buy as much as we could at $10. Wish I would have listened to him a little bit more. Like, no, I'm a buy hardwood flooring. Should have slept in a cardboard box. Should have just bought all the Solana and Bitcoin I could have there. ZBCN, DZ, ZBEC Network. No, that's not what it is. That's ZBEC. I hope it does well for you. I hope it does well. Someone does use their Gemini card for Bitcoin, also very, very good here. Plus, hit that like button if you do not like Jamie Dimon. And the Dutch invented shares and the Italians invented accounting. And I'm a quarter Italian, so maybe that's where the math prowess comes from. Actually, I got a cheat sheet. It's up the sleeve. Every number and quick math I do on the show, I write the answers on my wrist and I just glance at it real quick. And I'm like, 6.5%. Yeah, okay. All right, Solana ETFs. We're getting a good push for the liquid staking. We're going to get the institutional support here. And so staking is only live on ETH. And basically, these are proof of stake networks. So if you got $1,000 worth of Solana, $1,000 worth of ETH, you can put in a staking protocol and you're going to get like $50. Hey, you know, I made 5%. That's pretty cool. 5% is 50. Yeah, $50. Yeah, I made $50. Pretty cool. But ETFs can't take part of that, but they want to. So BlackRock, I'm sure they're going to have some sort of way where, you know, maybe you get some of the reward, but they're skimming. They're going to be skimming off the top. And so we get staking rewards for Solana ETFs is going to be very, very bullish. But it's VanEck and Bitwise and two other stakeholders. They're the ones appealing to the SEC. What we want to see is BlackRock apply for this. If BlackRock applies for this, it is 100% going to be approved. And BlackRock did apply for the ETH ETF. So we're waiting for the BlackRock on the Solana ETF, or just, lean into it. Now, yep. And then after that, we have our internet issues. I'm like looking at all those. In the member stream, I'm going to do a deep dive on USDE. So it's going to be very, very insightful. This is one of the coins that you're holding. I got a whole thesis down. I'm going to break it down and give you my real thoughts there. What do you happens to a caution render after the pullback? Consistently bleed against Bitcoin. They are not going to have good long-term success, in my opinion, because I don't know anyone that is comfortable sharing compute resources. I don't know anyone that's comfortable sharing access to their computer. And a lot of people have, crypto on these computers. Now, Akash, I'm going to add Akash. It's going to be in the cloud space as well. So who wants decentralized storage? Not too many people. There's some niche cases there, but I don't think that's going to equate to massive demands on their storage. Average consumer, they're okay. Just like Google, Apple, you handle all my storage. Large companies, legacy companies, are going to be happy with Google, Azure, it's Microsoft. They're going to be happy with Amazon's cloud providers. And so it's just Render is competing against Amazon. Say that again. Render is competing against Amazon directly. And Amazon makes most of their money, if I'm not mistaken, from cloud revenue. And so Render is competing with Jeff Bezos's number one cash cow. To me, that's a difficult environment. And for that reason, I'm out. All right. DZ, hello from California. Shout out to California. Shout out to the West Coast. They say it's the best coast, but we all know the South does it best, baby. Do I know who Armando Pantaja? I do not know. Sounds like, I don't want to go there. I was going to say he sounded like a good soccer player, but that just sounded xenophobic, so I don't want to go there. But my last name's Valdez, so I can say that. Do I prefer Near over Render? Yes. Near is in a crowded space, which is L1s. However, that being said, Near seeing a lot of institutional support, and I did a video on that specific institutional support. And so if you didn't watch last night's video, the U.S. government is choosing 3 altcoin winners. One of those winners is Near. The thesis, White House has a crypto report. That crypto report has citations of other crypto reports. A lot of those other crypto reports came from one company. That company is very well connected. Andreessen Horowitz. These two people, Mark Andreessen, Ben Horowitz, donated $5 million to Donald Trump. And so seeing the White House crypto report use their crypto reports as foundational blocks, seems bullish for Andreessen Horowitz's portfolio. And in that portfolio, there's 3 altcoins that have a lot of institutional access or interest, whales buying, shady things going on in the background. So go watch that video. It did make me want to buy more Near, but I ended up buying one of the other 3 altcoins. All right, the crypto sleuth. I am more of a Watson than a Sherlock Holmes. No, actually, I have Asperger's, probably. I don't know. I do wear the same clothes every single day. Not this. I just wear the same black tee every day. I don't know if it's autism. Is it? Nah, who knows? I'm semi-normal, right? All right. Anyone use grass? That is another token. I mean, I mow it, and I'm gonna mow it tomorrow. Virtual, very bullish in the long run, and I do think we're gonna see an AI pump. We're gonna see an AI pump after what we're seeing with certain AI sectors. Oh, yeah. So Amazon and Meta, they had their quarterly reports, and they signaled they're about to pour tens of billions of dollars into AI investment across other little like mid-cap companies and micro-cap companies and probably AI company accumulation. That's going to spill over into the crypto eventually, folks. Hope alt season does happen. I've lost hope. We got some good days ahead of us, man. Don't you worry, man. And the best day is going to come when you smash that like button and join me in the Discord immediately. I got to go ahead and knock this out so I can talk to Crypto Crow. But this has been a very good stream. This is one of the DZ exclusive streams here. Thank you for joining, everybody. Thank you for smashing that like. Make sure you are following the channel. We're going to release that Toncoin video, and I'll probably release that midnight video with Crypto Crow if all goes well, microphones work, all that good stuff. So make sure you're following Crypto Crow. Make sure you're following this channel. Hit that like button on the way out, and don't panic from the markets. We just got to close that CME gap. Even the XRP holders are bullish. All right, that's all we got.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.